evening and welcome once again to league football action. This weekend, the second last minor round spread over 2 days. Today we'll have highlights of all 3 matches, each involving teams battling for that vital third spot on the ladder: Port Adelaide, Glenelg and Woodville. And first off, we're checking out the action at Football Park between those last start winners, Port Adelaide and Central District. Let's join commentators Mark Aston and Daryl Hicks.
Port Adelaide by 11 points as we begin the second quarter after a very interesting first. Central District's turn to use a very, very light breeze, but conditions almost perfect. Anderson. And Stephen Anderson off the ground. Greg Thomas over the top. Boyd. Back turns into trouble. Abernathy goes wide. And way down is Delaney from the back, full-back position to Ginniver. And out the ball went. I was surprised Roger Delaney has been coming a long way out from full-back, forcing Rudy Mandamaker to chase. Lounder opposed to Smith. Palms it off. And Bytheen, the quick kick. Inboard they go. Obst sidesteps well. Gets the kick away towards Hines at the back. Bubner. The snap from Ginniver. A brilliant Rovers goal. Timmy Ginniver reading it off and snapping accurately for his first goal. Port Adelaide's 5th. 5-3-33. Central's 2-4-16.
And doesn't he love kicking goals, Timmy Ginniver? And I can remember, Daryl, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Timmy Ginniver kicking a goal from almost at the point of the square, the centre square that is, and it must have travelled 60 metres and it really won the game for them. It was right on the siren at 3/4 time in a match. But he loves kicking goals. Lounder and Johnston. Krieg out of the centre. Girdham. Leslie and Graham. Girdham. And it's offline. It stays in play. Fiacci knows it's out. He just wanted to test the umpire there. So Brady waiting to come on. Just not sure who will come off. Leslie overran it. Graham trying to pick it up. Picked up by Johnston. Fiacci, a long sweeping handball to Delaney. Boyd. And the Port Adelaide machine out of trouble. Curtis with the headgear on. Smith. Good mark, Smith. Under plenty of pressure from McGrath. And Smith is a long, long way out. And he's looking for leads. Over Ginniver's head. Out comes Borlase. Picked up by Abernathy. And he was under too much pressure. Bruce Abernathy out of bounds on the full in the left forward pocket for Port Adelaide.
Craig Brady, late onto the field after quarter time, obviously had an injury. Flintoff, well played to Krieg. Inboard he goes. Short to Girdham. Central's going a little too short with their kicking. On to Shields. The bounce is good. Back to Krieg. Good ball control. Short again to Graham. Thomas and Graham, unfortunately, competed against each other. Martin Leslie with ease through centre. Sets up Tim Ginniver. The shepherd from Curtis. Ginniver sidestep. Short. And quickly they go. Port Adelaide the chance. Andrew Obst. Well played, Port Adelaide, from the half-back line, from an error from Central Districts. Obst first. Port Adelaide's 6th goal. 6-3-39 to Central, 2-4-16.
That was unfortunate because it all started on the half-back line for Port Adelaide when Central District made an error. 2 of their players, one of them was Thomas, went for the ball, they spoiled it, and Martin Leslie took full advantage, and he must have run 100 metres, and it's ended up with a goal for Port Adelaide. Obst's first at the 4-minute mark, and there's 6 goals, 3-39 now. Central at 2 goals, 4-16. Flintoff swings a half circle. Graham underneath it. So is Leslie. Fiacci read it magnificently. and puts a long kick out toward Tyler, who took it over his head.
And the tactics that Central are using of putting Mandamaker down the field are definitely not paying off.
Brady over the top of Smith. Anderson. High kick. Courageous mark taken by Lee. And Scotty Lee transfers play to this grandstand side. Girdham, Short, and Graham. So Central need to get a move on. Graham around his body, and the kick is poorly directed. George Fiarchi took it without any effort at all. And once again, Port Adelaide may have a chance to mount an attack from that back line, as Hutton has it at left half-back.
The Central Districts have no key position at the full forward, hence the breakdown. Abernathy with length. Looks for Darren Smith, spoilt by Brady. Peter Krieg covers up well. He's in form. And Port Adelaide on the back play, unable. Tapped on by Abernathy. Phelps. With the natural left, short to Obst. And it's an FAD. Malcolm McGrath's been in the wars with the umpires. Obst. Robertson high at the back. Covered well by Scott Lee, or rather David Buckley. Good use of the ball by Brady. Borlace. Snaps high. Curtis and Lee. Lee failed to mark. Trapped the ball on to Bubner. And the pace of Bubner sets up Shields. A loose hand pass. The ball is free. Hutton read it best. No, it's Phelps. And no pressure again on the Port Adelaide defenders. Robertson. Scott Lee. Wide to Greg Thomas. Looking for McGrath and Lounder. Abernathy. And that's where Centrals are breaking down across half forward. In front was Tylor. Girdham. Krieg finds Shields. He has Pryor running. The wobbly kick is wide, looking for Anderson, and Shorty Anderson, the mark in the forward pocket.
As Anderson loses his head guard, and he copped one, well, he feels as though he copped one pretty high.
Gains of 15.
Which will be very handy. So Anderson about 30 metres out. He's on a 45-degree angle. And he's got little or no breeze. In fact, the flags are virtually dead still around Footy Park. This will be very handy. 2 goals for at the moment, Central District. Anderson's kick is a perfectly judged kick. It's a beautiful kick, in fact. And that's his first. Central District, 3 goals, 4. Now 22. Port Adelaide, 6 goals, 3, 39. And that was a much-needed goal.
Well, Mark Pryor came down from the half-back line, set himself to centre. The ball wobbled off the side, and Anderson took the mark and won the free for the head-high tackle. Central's coming back, trail now by 17 points, just 3 straight kicks. Johnston. The tap taken by Girdham, and Abernathy, a busy player, centres the ball. At the back, Hines. Well played, Port Adelaide. Dalkin, the player who speared it out. Borlace. Just could not get clear of Hearn. Ginniver to Rowan Smith. He centres. In fact, he shoots, and it is a miraculous goal to Rowan Smith. The crowd very appreciative. Port Adelaide 7-3, 45. Central 3-4, 22.
So Rowan Smith gets his first. And Port Adelaide raced to 7 goals, 3, and that was a spectacular goal by Rowan Smith. And he has played some boomer games for Port Adelaide. Spent a bit of time in the reserves. But it just goes to show you the depth that Port Adelaide does have. Johnston gets the free kick. No, it's going to Anderson. No, it's going to Johnston. Not sure what was going on there, but Anderson has it. Delaney, well out in front of Rudy Mandamaker. And Delaney between the wing and half forward. Puts one in for Borlace. Stood his ground pretty well. Central District get out of trouble momentarily, but it will only be momentarily. Fiarchi got it across. from Johnston, and Smith unattended, but the whistle's gone, and it's going to Abernathy, so doesn't really matter what happens. Port Adelaide still have possession, and Abernathy is about 50 metres out, and there's his kick. It's a boomer kick. Didn't quite make the distance. Yes, it did. It's a behind. No, the umpire was about to signal a behind. He has now. So Port Adelaide moved to 7 goals for 46. Central 3 goals for 22.
And Port Adelaide 6 of the last 8 goals on top since halfway through the first quarter. Central District's no key position strength up forward. Krieg looking for man to maker. Rudy takes. Looks to be playing across half forward. Too far out to score. In fact, he's just ahead of centre. Wins 15. 87 goals. That's a magnificent torpedo kick. It is a boomer. 75, 80 metres. An enormous kick. Number 88. Rudy's 8th first of the day. And Central 4-4-28. Come back against Port Adelaide 7-4-46.
Well, if we had goals of the year, that'd have to be probably the goal of the year. I mean, it's not so much as a spectacular snapshot, but that's probably the longest goal I've seen here at Footy Park this season. That was unbelievable. That went about 8 blocks. 7-4 versus 4-4, and let's see if that springs a bit of life into the Central District side. Geneva taking an hour and a half. In fact, it's Dawkin taking an hour and a half to pick up. He eventually did and gave it to Curtis, who in turn gave it to Anderson. And Anderson's kick up to the half-forward line. Buckley couldn't take a diving mark. Hearn is in there as well. So is Tylor. But the umpire Stephen Semler, comes in and he'll bounce it almost at centre half-forward. Port Adelaide once again, this time through Geneva. It's a high kick. Ball lays, and he's tackled left, right and centre. And the umpire says that was held to him, and I'll ball it up some 15 metres out in front of the Port Adelaide goal. Awkward bounce. Robertson. Thomas. Kick into no man's land. It might beat Anderson out. It does. And the umpire will come in and throw it in.
Malcolm McGrath off. Mike Smith on. Central Districts with Lounder on the back play against Russell Johnston.
Boundary throw-in taking place at left half forward for Port Adelaide. Buckley over the top. Curtis. Dawkin couldn't get the kick. And it's out of bounds again. Well, Port Adelaide, they've had a good season. They've won 13 out of their 20. They've won their last 6 in a row. Central have won 7 out of 20. It's an important game for both sides, particularly Port Adelaide, who are desperate to stay in the top 3. Obst, Short, Smith. Here they go again. Geneva almost. Buckley. He's got it. Gives it across to Smith. Krieg running through centre, and he got caught. I don't know who he wanted to give that to. Geneva picks up cleverly, gives it across to Smith, and Smith chips toward Tylor. It was over his head. Buckley's with him, but Tylor's got a bit of pace. Buckley intercepted that. Curtis. Buckley's kick is ordinary, and it's taken by Leslie.
Martin Leslie playing well off that half-back flank, changing with Bruce Abernathy. Craig Brady, though, dropping back from in front. Robertson wide. Off to Scott Lee. Back to Robertson. The wingman has swapped sides. Looking for Flintoff. The bounce favours Flintoff. Spears the ball for Allen. Spoiled well from behind. Allen recovers to Flintoff. Evades. Shoots. Ever so close. But George Piarci in that back pocket takes the grab. Farms off to Delaney. He to Dalkin. To Greg Anderson. And Porter clear. To Piarci. No pressure. A line of Port Adelaide players. Scott Lee, though, the immovable, decides to slow play down. And that's a good tactic. Wide to Buckley. A little bit of danger in that play. The Centrals again going very indirect.
Yeah, they're not direct, are they?
Wide to Flintoff. And that's one of the reasons players are calling the ball wide. Short. Centre they go, looking for Graham. At the back, no, it was taken by Martin Leslie, too tall in front. He's done well against Philip Graham. Applauds for the kick, and Martin Leslie's in touch.
Very important player for Port Adelaide, Martin Leslie. Even to be pleased as punch that Leslie isn't having any more trouble with his shoulder as we are very close to the finals. Rowan Smith running through half forward, centres it, and it's a high kick. Hines couldn't take it. Curtis overran it, picked up by Pryor. Hearn. Bubner back to Hearn. Pryor, in fact. And Pryor's kick, and there's a good mark taken by Delaney. He's all over the place, Delaney, and so is Mandamaker, no doubt. Leslie. Centre half forward. Dawkin couldn't control it. Anderson around his body. Brady showing courage. Not paid the mark. Abernathy. Bit of luck running Port Adelaide's way at the moment. Ginniver, he loves kicking goals, and he's on the march, and Ginniver's kick is almost a goal, but not quite. Bubner got there just in time, and it's a behind. So Port 7-5-47, Central 4-4-28, and we played 16 minutes of the second term.
What a beautiful footballer is Peter Bubner. Brady finds Hearn. Back in the side from the reserves to Anderson. In trouble from Ginniver, well spoiled. Abernathy off to Boyd. Centres. Lee in front. Port Adelaide through Curtis. Off to Borlase. Shoots. Number 8 for Port Adelaide. Number 3 for Darryl Borlase. A beautiful goal to the Magpie. And that's Port Adelaide 8-5-53. Central's 4-4-28.
Yes, and Port Adelaide, well, they've got goal kickers all over the place, but Borlase stands out. He's the star that's shining at the moment. He's kicked 3 for the game so far, 2 in that first quarter and that goal then, and he did it so easily. And Port Adelaide have Central District rattled at the moment at the 17-minute mark. Johnston and Lounder stole that out of the air, gave it to Flintoff. Shields. Allen couldn't take it. He's about the only tall player they've got up forward. Graham spins round his body, and that's a much-needed goal to Central District. That's Graham's second. And I was just about to say that he's not all that tall. They've only got Allen up forward that's got any height at all, so we're wondering why Mandamaker's doing what he is doing. But anyway, nonetheless, that was a good goal by Graham, and that was Central's 5th. They're 5-4-34, Port 8-5-53.
Philip Graham in the forward pocket, snaring his second. Mandamaker now at centre half forward, Allen in the pocket, and Philip Graham playing at full forward. Richard Lounder opposed to Russell Johnston. Lounder just. But well played by Port Adelaide's Obst. Tripped by Shields.
I wonder if that's a professional free kick, because it gives them all a chance to get on their men.
Slows down the play. Hines on the lead. In between Buckley and Bubner. Well played, Lee, to Anderson. Wide to Scotty Lee. Whoops, side steps, back turns and fumbles. Robertson. Anderson takes it out to minimise the embarrassment to the Bulldogs, who were Learising on the half-back flank. The Dogs needing to tighten up. Lounder opposed to Smith. Dalkin. Bubner in front. Gets the quick kick forward, then finds wingman Robertson. Robertson, a good player opposed to Dalkin, has had the better of that duel. Not a lot of movement, and certainly no key position. Mandamaker now in the spot. Off hands was the big tap. And Port Adelaide, 8 goals to 5, 13 shots to 9. are well on top on the scoreboard.
They certainly are. 19.5 minutes gone in the second term. Johnston. Hobbs tried to knock it on. Flintoff is in there burrowing hard. But it'll be a ball up. Perfect conditions. And the breeze has dropped right down. There wasn't much of it to speak of initially. Lounder again. He shows a lot of potential, Lounder. Anderson stole it, then got caught, and got caught pretty well too. Hutton will take the free kick. In fact, it's Boyd. Half forward. Smith. Ball A's. Abernathy. Curtis. Goal. His first. Port's ninth. They're 9 goals, 5-59. Central 5-4, 34. And, well, Port Adelaide really starting to get on top.
More aggressive, Port Adelaide. Good, strong body work then by Curtis. Rather by Darren Smith through centre half forward. And eventually Curtis overlapped for the hand pass. 9 goals to 5. And they've dominated since halfway through the first quarter. Centre square. Lounder. Johnson favoured by the bounce. Krieg. Port Adelaide just the superior side. More runners and better key position balance. Anderson fumbles. Greg Anderson on to Ginniver. And a brilliant take taken on the half-forward line by Tylor against David Buckley. Mark Tylor, 40 metres out, into a slight breeze. Goes to the goal square. A brilliant fly by Hines. Curtis off hands, just forced through. David Hines was above the pack, took the grab, couldn't bring the ball ground. The score, Port Adelaide by 26 points.
Bubner to Lee, back to Bubner. Lee, and they're getting themselves into all sorts of trouble, Central District. They're just not going long enough. Very indirect, whether it be handball or kicking. And they were very lucky to get out of that. Good crowd here at Football Park. Mostly Port Adelaide supporters. Bubner over the top. Robertson, Krieg. Johnston on centre wing. Short. Abernathy by himself. Another player you can't afford to leave by himself. And his kick is a magnificent pass to Smith. And that is superb football.
Little Craig Brady could do that. Pass was pinpoint accurate.
Not much you can do about it. And Smith knew exactly where to be at precisely the right time. Abernathy knew exactly how to kick it. And Smith has missed. It's a behind. Would have been nice to have topped that off with a goal. But they enjoy a pretty good lead at the moment. Port Adelaide are 9 goals, 7, 61. Central 5 goals, 4, 34.
27 points to Port. Lounder. Tylor finds Dalkin. He centres to the goal square. And at the back of the pack, with ease, Andrew Obst. Timed it well, used his knee, sat on Peter Bubner. And Peter Obst, who has 1, now has 2. And Port Adelaide race to 10-7, 67. Central District's 5-4, 34.
6 goals to 3 in this quarter. Port Adelaide have outscored Central District. And Andrew Obbs, another player who shows enormous potential, puts his second on the board. That was a courageous mark too. And I say courageous, there weren't too many players around, but he ran in from a long way off, came in from the side of the goal square, took the mark, went back and put it through for another goal to Port Adelaide, the 24-minute mark, back in the centre. Lounder tapped it down to Anderson for Port Adelaide, and they're running right at the moment. Smith has outmanoeuvred Braddy yet again. He'll put a bit of extra oomph into this, and he's concentrating as he comes in 40 metres out, straight in front, and the umpire doesn't move too far. He just steps into the centre and then gives the two fingers. That's his second. Smith's second, Port Adelaide's 11th, and what a quarter it's been by Port Adelaide. They're 11-7, 73. Central 5-4, 34.
That goal comes from a quick kick from the square from Greg Anderson. More direct football by Port Adelaide. And an out-of-form Darren Smith fights back to win his position in the Port Adelaide side. Lounder to Flintoff. Rowan Smith backs up. High looking for Johnston. At the back, Dalkin. Time for Hines, and Bubner dropping back, covers the ball. Port Adelaide trap it in the area. And Port winning across centre at the bounce downs and picking up their confidence. The Port Adelaide box, a bit of a grin then about the state of play. Curtis read it well. Hines off to Borlase, almost got it through. Pryor wide to Robertson. Dalcombe one hand, centres well, and dropping back. Pryor couldn't take. Curtis farms it off to Hines. He's in trouble. A chance now for Smith. Taps it on. Russell Johnston shoots. Offline. The Port Adelaide captain brought an ooh from his supporters. Port 74, Central 34.
Well, they tried for an hour and a half to kick a goal in Port Adelaide. They really did deserve one, but it wasn't to be. Bubner, centre wing. Smith looking for leads up forward. He's got one from Rudy Mandamaker, who's setting himself, and he got in front on that occasion of Delaney, but he couldn't take the mark. Johnston feeds it across. Ginniver out into no man's land. Beautifully done by Obst. Picked up by Smith, and it's a very high kick, but this time Scotty Lee in front of Hines. And Scott Lee goes short to Pryor. And Pryor races off. 27.5 minutes gone. A goal by Central District would be very handy. Flintoff. The mark or a push in the back, take your pick. Got to get on with it, and he does. Almost got into trouble, and then puts it up just short of the square. Graham leapt. Must have got 100 metres in the air, but it was taken by Leslie from behind. Delaney. Short pass. Dalkin. Balks beautifully around Smith. And the crowd don't like what they saw. And I think perhaps Smith has been reported, has he or not? Did you notice that, Darryl?
Umpire Steve Semler has taken the number of Mike Smith, number 33, just a little bit late with that aggressive tackle. Meanwhile, downfield, David Hines is marked at full forward. The Port player still on the ground.
It did seem a bit late, didn't it?
David Hines shoots. It's online. His first goal. Port Adelaide's 12th. And they race to 12.880. Central 5-4, 34.
Dawkins up. He's okay. Hines being congratulated. And frustration reigning here with Central District 46 points behind, and we've already had one report. Michael Smith back in the centre, Lounder and Johnston. Shields doing all he can to try and get it out of that centre square, but the umpire says I'll bounce it again. Big knock on. Mandamaker almost had his shorts ripped off. Fiachi showed plenty of courage. Mandamaker in again, but to no avail. Abernathy. And here they go again, Port Adelaide. Darren Smith is getting himself set. Couldn't take the mark. It comes off hands. Pryor running out of defence. Short. And they just keep going short, don't they? Girdham. And this time he goes short. Mandamaker couldn't take it. And you can tell by the crowd the free kick is going to Rudy Mandamaker, because it's certainly a pro-Port Adelaide crowd. And Mandamaker's going to go back and have a good look at these goals. He knows his side's a long, long way behind, and he goes short. The angle's pretty poor for Flintoff. No, it's not Flintoff. It's Robertson. And Robertson looks as though he's going to go back and attempt to kick this, but the way Central District have been going, he could have passed off short, but he didn't. The kick hasn't made the distance. Graham tried to kick it off the ground. He couldn't do so, and Curtis pushes it through. Are they going too short, or are we seeing things?
Too short and indirect, but that's as a result of no confidence in their key position players. Philip Graham unlucky to not win the free. Martin Leslie. Keith Allen. Girdham. Allen again. No ball. Play on, says the umpire. Umpire Rick Kinnear to bounce as the siren goes to bring half-time at Football Park, with Port Adelaide leading 12-8-80 to Central District's 5-5-35 by 35 points. Rather, 45 points.
No, he never could get his sums right, Daryl Hicks. Anyway, by half-time, the game was just about won for Port Adelaide. The second half, well, it was just as easy. Another 12 goals to 4 as Port won in the end by 97 points. Borlase 5 and Darren Smith 4 goals. And for Central, Phil Graham, the best with 3. Well, one of the players responsible for Port's late-season revival has been Bruce Abernathy. He's speaking here with Mark Aston.
Well, Bruce, congratulations. That was a very strong win.
Yeah, it was a good win. We're on a bit of a roll, and we came up to that one, and I think it was important to secure that double chance, and I think we did very well.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Although it's 7 wins in a row, you have secured that double chance.
Yeah, we were floundering a bit during the middle of the season, and we sort of sat down and put out a basic game plan, and I think we've stuck to that pretty well, and the result is today we've got a double chance, and looking forward to the finals.
What about your own game today?
Yeah, it's always good to get out in Football Park. Well, it's nearly September now, but the ground's starting to dry out and the games were getting a bit faster. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Particularly in the second half, it must be very encouraging to see Greg playing so well too, Greg Anderson.
Yeah, he's been unfortunate. He's had a couple of injuries this year, but like myself, he's probably looking. He likes the hard grounds, the fast games, and I think you saw a bit of it today.
Was it hard? What did Russell say to you at three-quarter time? Because you must have realised it was the end of it then.
Well, we've been playing quarter by quarter for the last 8-9 weeks, and come three-quarter time, we just get together and set ourselves a goal for the last quarter.
What about Obst? He looks as though he's a star of the future.
He's a handy guy to find from West Croydon, isn't he?
OK, next week it's Norwood, but it does look as though, well, you'll be playing Norwood 2 times in a row.
Well, I think that makes next week even more important. Whoever wins next week's obviously going to have that psychological advantage for the week after. So I think the fact that we played them twice in a row makes the first game even more important.
Well done today, Bruce, and good luck next week.
Thanks very much.
Yes, that match next week should be an absolute beauty. 7 in a row then for the Magpies. Darryl, the first time you've seen them for quite some time now. Do they impress you?
They do, and as Bruce said, they found a few good guys. Johnston back, of course, has been important. And Roger Delaney to full-back today. He handled Mandamaker superbly. Rudy got 1. And he was an excellent player.
Darren Smith, 4 goals, and it's been a few matches now. He's been stringing some good ones together, hasn't he?
Well, 3 weeks ago he was in the reserves, back to centre-half forward today in place of Greg Phillips, and he will now be a key position player in the finals.
On the debit side, Greg Anderson, I understand, was injured.
Well, not really. He didn't go off. He just limped away for a while. They got the magic spray out, as they did with Timmy Juniper. They just had a little bit of leg soreness towards the end of the game.
Central District, a lot of people were suggesting that with the announcement that Neil Curley would take over next year, a lot of those players would have something to prove and they'd respond today.
They'd be very disappointed. King Curley was in the stand as halfway through the reserves game, and many players would be in the bad books after today's performance.